It's very difficult for people today to really understand just how important the church was in medieval Europe. Fewer and fewer people in England today identify as Christian, and of those who do, most do not regularly attend church. In the Middle Ages, almost everyone was Christian, and almost everyone believed very strongly that when they died, their soul would go to heaven or hell. To be Christian in Western Europe in the Middle Ages was to be a member of the Catholic Church, and believe that outside of the church there was no salvation. This belief gave the church huge power over the minds of all medieval people, even kings and emperors. Huge and ornate cathedrals in all the major European cities were a constant physical reminder of the power of the church. In the world today, all power is concentrated in the hands of the state. But in the medieval world, there was an alternative power base over which kings had no authority: the church. The spiritual realm belonged to the church, and even kings bowed to its spiritual authority. The church was the only international organisation in medieval Europe, and the power of its leader, the Pope, stretched to every corner of what was known as Christendom. The church even had its own legal system, and anyone accused of a crime who worked for the church had the right to be tried in the church courts rather than the king's courts. Richard and John's father, Henry II, had tried to end the church courts, and this dispute led to the murder of the Archbishop of Canterbury, Thomas Becket, for which Henry grovelled to the church, monks from Canterbury Cathedral whipping him while he walked barefoot to Becket's tomb to show his remorse. The church played a huge role in politics, with bishops and archbishops acting as advisors to the king, and the church owning vast swathes of land in England, with some historians estimating a quarter of all land was in the hands of the church by 1500. The church even played a key role in the coronation of a king, which was an intensely religious ceremony, during which the new king was anointed with holy oils, which it was believed imparted the Spirit of the Lord on him. Medieval kings were often referred to as God's anointed king. The coronation ceremony, with the church at its heart, legitimised and sanctified the rule of medieval kings. The church was at the heart of the key events of life in the Middle Ages, and the local priest was an important figure in everyone's lives. He baptised babies shortly after they were born, which made them members of the church. Marriage was not simply a legal contract between two people in the Middle Ages, it was a religious commitment between a man and a woman, which joined them to each other spiritually as well as physically in a bond that could never be broken. Marriage ceremonies were performed by a priest, and it would have made no sense at all to a medieval person for the ceremony to be performed anywhere other than a church or by anyone other than a priest. When a person died, they were buried in the local churchyard in a religious ceremony that they believed was necessary for their soul to get to heaven. Anyone who could read and write in the Middle Ages was more than likely taught to read by a priest, and the church's role in education went far beyond teaching boys to read and write. Every university in Europe in the Middle Ages, teaching theology, philosophy, law and languages, was founded, funded and run by the church. The international character of the church meant that a degree awarded by a university in England was recognised by every university in Europe. Students and teachers moved easily between different countries, and lessons were taught in the language of the church, Latin. Scholars from all over Europe communicated in Latin, helping to spread new ideas and knowledge across the continent. The University of Oxford had been founded in 1096, and Cambridge was founded during John's reign in 1209. The other main universities at the time were Paris and Bologna in Italy. In the decades following John's reign, dozens of new universities sprang up around Europe. Another important subject taught in universities was medicine, and the church would control the education of doctors until the end of the Middle Ages. Doctors were very expensive because there were so few of them, but many medieval monasteries ran hospitals where monks and nuns looked after sick people, although if there were no doctors available they cared for rather than treated the patients. The church played an enormous role in the medieval world, providing education and healthcare as well as spiritual guidance. No one, from the lowliest peasant to the highest king, could ignore the church. From the coronation of Richard in 1189 to the death of John in 1216, there were 3 popes, Clement III, Celestine III, and Innocent III, and all of them would play significant roles in shaping the course and outcomes of Richard and John's reigns.